Hello, Troy A. Shadowing Tronics, as you can tell. Somewhere, I am taking part in the Art Soundoff Challenge, doing something a little different. I'm kind of still playing around with OBS, and let me switch over to the screen here. So, I thought it would be interesting today to take a look at. I'm gonna put up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different YouTube channels that I think would be great for comic creators to check out. If you're an artist, maybe you already know about Jazza or Popcross Studios, which were two I was going to put on this list. But if you don't, just look them up. I'm surprised anybody in the art community doesn't know who Jazza is. But I always do recommend Popcross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube, or so he says. Just because Popcross does some great lore building, and Jazza does a lot of different kinds of art, and some of his earlier videos were actually instructional. But the thing is, everybody knows about those guys. I don't know how many people in the Art Soundoff community, if we have one, necessarily knows one of these, even though two of them actually have taken part in Art Soundoff. So we'll get to them. But these are different channels that I would recommend checking out, and I will have links in the description or below the video if you're watching this on my site. But these come highly recommended from me. Take that for what it's worth. The first one is Abby Emmons. Let me just see how this will work. Okay. I'm still testing with Firefox, so I don't know what works, what doesn't. This is Abby Emmons. She's not really a comic creator. She's an author. But she writes a lot about just general storytelling, obviously from the perspective of making a novel. But she's got a lot of really great tips on here about how to write a story, how to create characters, how to write different parts of a story, putting your story together. Haven't been watching her stuff very long, but I find it very interesting, and I do recommend you checking out just for a general storytelling tips and writing tips, because I think it's just her stuff is very interesting. Now, if you want something like that more in the comics area, there's Lucifer Storm. Now, and he definitely takes it more from along the lines of a comic creator. Now, he's one of the people that have been in Art Soundoff before, only he kind of did it off here because he's a bit of a rebel. I will say that Lucifer's work, he used to go under his regular name, Foy Storm, but nobody can pronounce his name, I guess outside of the UK, so he came up with the pen name Lucifer Storm, which kind of makes sense if you know anything about his writing. And I will say this, that the kind of stories that he wants to tell are not my kind of stories whatsoever. On the other hand, though, he has some really great tips. He definitely likes to discuss storytelling and shows off some of his work and some of his writing, and it's, I don't know if he does that many drawing streams, but here's one that about creating a glowing effect based on the question I asked him. He did he showed an art piece that he did of Iron Fist. We can see him right there, and I asked him how he did that, because I guess he uses Clip Studio Paint now. I use Clip Studio Paint, and I thought it was a great effect. So, March Maze Comics, watch that one too. But I'm trying to stick with the instructional stuff here, and so it was nice enough for him to do that for me. And he also talks about writing guidelines from more of a comic perspective. So if you can't connect the dots between novel writing and comic writing, Lucifer's got some great stuff for you. Now on the drawing side, and that's where we're going to be coming in for the rest of this, I highly recommend Strip Panel Naked. Don't worry, there's no nudity, but Haas does take, and I'm not sure how to pronounce his regular name. It's Hassan, I guess Hassan something. But usually opens by saying, I'm Haas, so we'll just call him Haas. And Haas takes and looks at various comic pages, and he kind of and does it from a perspective of he's looking to see just great moments in storytelling, things that comics can do better than anyone, how to sort of game the system, how to use color or mood or positioning or layouts, and as a way of kind of telling the story itself. So it's not just straight up writing the story, just all these little tricks that you can do comic drawing that kind of establishes the mood and the beats and just various ways of storytelling, and it's very interesting. And if you like that, he'll also have a link, I think, somewhere up here to Panel by Panel, which is a web magazine that he runs. So I highly recommend, if you want to find movies art, he doesn't just look at the beats, he looks how it works in the story. I find this so many times so many artists will saw something neat in the comics and that looked good and tries to use it in their work without really understanding why it works. And he explains why it works. And hopefully, if you want to use one of these beats, you know how to use it properly. Don't use it just because saw it somewhere else and it looked really cool. Use it because it benefits the story. Remember, it's always about benefiting the story. And so this is one I definitely recommend on the artistic side. Another good one, and it's going to be kind of an odd choice for this list, Dr. Crafty. Now, what makes this odd is, right now he's just doing quickies just because he's trying to really set up a show, but his show does feature like a running storyline where his mad scientist character and his crew keep running all these different troubles. But the reason I'm putting this one in is he discusses the characters that he's drawing. He discusses some of the techniques that he chose, why he drew it the way he did, either through himself or through his co-hosts, like Nurse Worse. How did I blank on that name? Nurse, it rhymes and everything. Nurse Worse. But it, and there's a kind of story. He did a storyline where he teamed up with the characters of My Hero Academia to stop an even madder scientist, and learning all this big backstory about him. So there's a lot of story involved in the story itself. In fact, this series, Crafty's Questionable Closet, is basically about examining the lore of his world. But the fact that he actually explains in some videos why he does the drawings. So otherwise, it's a speed drawing with explanations and a storyline. So, like I said, it's kind of the odd duck on this list, but I think it's actually pretty good, and you can learn a few things watching what he does. And on the regular episodes, sometimes he also explains why he does it. So this is actually a good choice as well. Then you've got another one of our art Soundoff previous participants, Becca Hilburn. I think she just got married too, so congratulate her. She either got married or she's getting married, something like that. But she does hang on. Well, it's getting dry. She mostly does. She talks about alcohol markers, and um, watercolor, because that's really what she does with her art style. If you've read her comic 7-Inch Kara, you've seen that in action. But she's also got, I was looking for the playlist. There was a play. She's got some art tutorials. I guess you could translate into your preferred method. Like if I'm doing stuff on paper, I usually use pens and coloring pencils. Pens and pencils and coloring pencils. She's got art tutorials. She also had one. She doesn't have it on this channel. Let me look at her playlists. She had. Oh, darn it, YouTube! You can't just give me the list and make me happy now. No. I cannot find it. There was a playlist, a series of videos about how she lays out her comics, and well, I guess there's somewhere in here. But so you can also learn some of her techniques, which you may want to bring into your own work. And she also has been doing a series of videos dealing with ADHD and how she deals with it and how she gets past it in order to put out her comics. And so it's great stuff. Check out that channel. And then my last choice, he hasn't really posted any new videos in a long time, but this is the channel, and this is a channel that's really made for kids, because his show that the clips come from were made for kids. But Bruce Blitz, and watching Blitz on Cartooning, which is what his show was called locally, and then title changed to Cartooning with Blitz, and he's done all these other stuff. Watching Blitz on Cartooning was basically what got me thinking more about the way I approach the art. And he's probably like the most cartoony of all the artists, because everyone on this list. But there's all sorts of neat tricks here. This is where I first heard about the rubber kneading eraser that I use, and color sticks, which I think I want to start using a bit more. Oh, yeah, animation. But I think we're thinking about things like inking my pencils instead of just doing straight from pencil, which, I was, at the time, I was just doing stuff in a notebook, so for myself, so nobody really cared. But he made it seem like it made good sense to try and do that. And there's just a lot of great how-to videos about drawing. It is, like I said, it is designed with kids in mind. A lot of his teaching is on the kids' side, but I think that, I was in my teens when I started watching it and found it very interesting, and I think it might also be something you might be interested in and might benefit from as well. Just about made the time. Let me go back over here and look. So check those out. Again, I will put a link in the description and underneath the video, depending on where you watch this. And of course, you should also be following the other lean art Soundoff participants: Jersey Droz, Rod Stenzinger, and Owen Jollins, and me. It would be nice if you followed me as well. I don't do that much videos. There's really not as much as I'd like to be doing. And this is part of an experiment to try to boost that up. I wonder if I can do this. Does this work? And why am I still in a corner? This should be, oh well. Worry about that some other time. That's one of the things I need to practice a bit more. But if you want to, let's go back here. Let's better that way. If you want to check out more of the Art Soundoff participants, go to Twitter, look for the hashtag Art Soundoff, click on the latest tweets, and you'll see all the latest videos from people using the hashtag and discussing art sound off and making art sound off content. And if you want to join us, this is leaningtoart.com/artsoundoff, which we'll have. I can show you since I'm here. To tell you how to get involved, how to take part, some prompts. Apparently, we still have last year's prompts up there, but I don't really use the prompts that much. So it'll give you some help there. And if you want to check out more of what I do, head over to bwspotlight.com. And I probably should put that up in there beforehand. I just posted my best of year 11 article, so you can get a list of what I figured are some of my best articles of the year. There's Art Sound Off, there's my comic, Jake and Leon. That is not Jake, by the way, this is Leon. And just different kinds of stuff that I talk about. So that'll do it for this installment and it just went over, of course. But until then, yeah, there's some more websites for you to check out too, so you can find more stuff to check out just by going to my site. So so a lot of reasons to visit my site. But until tomorrow and the next Art Sound Off, I am on a little bit of a slow drive this week just to try to relax myself a bit. But I do post quite stuff over there. So check it out, and until next time, I wish you all happy creating.